Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's host is Rose Willard. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life.
Welcome back, friends, to another episode of the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Rose Willard, your host this week, and today I'm bringing you John Lehman. John, or BoonDoctor John as he's called, is a full-time mobile RV technician specializing in solar, batteries, and electrical, and he designs and installs the very best solar solutions, particularly for the ATC Toy Hauler owners. So he's very well known in the ATC world, and he's been a full-time RVer and Boondocker for over 4 years. In this episode, we talk about why John went full-time, how his business evolved from his own needs, his experiences from his many years of off-grid living, what goes into an off-grid RV system, and how he brings these worry-free off-grid RV power systems to his clients. He's created a business that supports his full-time lifestyle through helping others unplug their RVs. So if you're considering starting a mobile RV tech business, or maybe you want to learn more about unplugging your RV so you can go off-grid while working, then this is a great episode for you. So with that, let's dive in. All right, John, welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me, Rose.
You are very welcome. I'm excited to have you on today because I really think this topic of being able to work remotely or run your business while being totally off-grid for long periods of time is just awesome. That means you can just truly work from anywhere. And I think our listeners can really benefit from our conversation today. So we're going to talk a bit about your experience and expertise in RV power. So John, give us a little rundown, give us a little background of your business and what you do.
So I guess interestingly enough, what I do is based off of experience and not necessarily book learning. And so talking to the customer, finding out their electrical needs, how many days, how many watts, size the battery, size the inverter, solar, whatever works best for them and how and where they're going to use it.
Right. So what's your business name?
BoonDoctor.
And how did it evolve?
It was beginning of 19. I'd been to one roundup with the ATC and I was camping with Steve Sash, Road Tickle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they help people with their businesses and websites and whatnot. And we were hanging out for, I guess, a month together in the same, right next to each other. And I started saying, I'd like to start a business that would give me some sort of an income that I could do from anywhere. And we started putting our little hats together in a circle, and Sash came up with the name BoonDoctor because at the first rally that we went to for ATC, people started calling me Doc because I was like the guy from back from the future.
Right.
Doc Brown.
Oh, yes. Awesome.
And everyone had electrical questions. And so I answered, helped, and everything. People started calling me Doc, and she came up with BoonDoctor. It made sense. And it's a big deal, the name, right? Having your business something that people can remember.
Right. And now you are full-time, correct?
Yeah, we went full-time in 18, trying to see what was important in life and where we were going to grow roots again. We weren't ready to retire. And so we thought that we would find some place and build a house. And we just enjoyed being mobile enough that we just never have done a house. We bought land, a couple of years ago, but there's no house. We just live in our RV on the property.
Mm-hmm. Come and go. And what did you do before you guys left for full time? Did you sell everything? Also, what did you do business-wise before all this?
I imagine it was probably in 17, my wife Gwen and I decided that we would be okay for a year to 3 living in the RV.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to buy an RV. We never spent the night in an RV, so we figured we better buy one if we're going to live in it.
Yeah.
So we bought it, and then we were trying to outfit it with solar, battery, electric, so that we would be able to boondock on BLM National Forest property.
Yeah, it's so prevalent out west.
Yeah, out west, everything is so much more
Oh, it's
open.
so easy.
But, trying to find someone back in 17 and 18 to put
Mm.
solar on the RV was very difficult. I even towed my trailer to a place that said they would look at it and give me a price an hour and a half away. And I get there and he goes, "Oh, yeah, talk to the bosses. We can't do that." So I
Oh,
said, "I drove an hour and a half. Do you want to at least look at it?" "No, no, thanks."
oh man.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I've always been very analytical and I've looked at doing solar to the garage or the house on different properties that I've owned, but without the government subsidy and having electricity already to the property, your payback was like 15, 20 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And we lived in the Midwest in Illinois.
Hmm.
So, winter, not good. Spring
No.
and fall, sort of cloudy.
Mm.
But in Arizona, in the wintertime, I mean, it works really well. So, anyhow, trying to figure out the solar, and I had enough research under my belt to make me dangerous on putting solar on our own RV.
Oh my gosh. Well, how did you have all this knowledge? Were you already electric kind of savvy? Like, how did you learn all this?
I rewired most of the houses that I've been in. I just didn't like where the panel was, or wired the garage to 220 or whatever. I mean, I just,
You learned by doing.
yeah, I mean, anyone can be an electrician on YouTube, right? I
That's
mean,
true.
there's a lot of videos and a lot of information on the internet that will definitively help someone to learn anything. Then
Right.
it's just a matter of how much you can absorb and
Hmm.
cross reference, I suppose, and
Gotcha.
say, oh, well, maybe this guy wasn't perfect on his YouTube channel. Maybe he misspoke. Maybe this part wasn't accurate, but the rest was. And so,
Hmm.
being able to put all that together like a jigsaw puzzle.
Right. So then you took all this knowledge when you were kind of fiddling around in your house and working on electric, and you were able to eventually apply that to RVs and your RV.
Yeah, I worked with a solar company, got all the parts from them, put the system together, and epically failed
Oh, man.
long-term solutions.
Well, that's how we learn, right? Got to have a billion failures before you get it right.
It is. The batteries were lead acid. They didn't last long. They walked themselves down. They did damage. The solar panels were RV panels, so a lower voltage. Then you have to run them in series, and you run them in series, and then you shade one in a series, and the whole string is shaded and reduced harvest ability, and blah, blah, blah. And then you got your roof vent that blocks this one in the
It's
morning, and
complicated.
then your
Yeah.
TV antenna that blocks that one in the afternoon. So that whole string is pretty well diminished in its ability. And so you learn from that, and then people can go to school for all of this, right? I mean, they
Right.
can be an electrician, they can go to learn solar, they can do all of that. But
They have to be able to apply it. Right.
yeah, the piece that misses is, real world experience. Sure, it's supposed to do this, but then what it really does is that. And then how do you make that work?
Right. It doesn't always work the same way in the real world.
Right?
Right. So you got this idea by meeting with Steven Sash and you guys came up with a name. Now, what was the hardest part of starting BoonDoctor? Anything in particular?
So it wasn't really difficult. I mean, it was just pushing the time aside. And we didn't have jobs. So, there was
Okay, true.
that.
Yeah, very true. You had the time.
The time was there. And so once we got the name BoonDoctor, then it's a matter of getting the domain and, emails and whatever, getting those secured so that you have those. And then it was just going to be a DIY website because so many people in the ATC world were asking me questions on how did you run a wire from here to there? How did you hook the inverter into the trailer? All that kind of stuff. I knew all of that. And so instead of answering the same question repetitively, I figured I'd just start a website, a DIY website to help people do their own solar install.
That's a great way to start.
I was really hoping that I could get, someone to advertise on the website or
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure. I think if you do affiliate links, you can get some money
Right.
off. I didn't know what was going to happen. I figured if I could get a couple $100 a month out of it, it'd be nice.
Right. You just really, truly, it sounded like you really wanted to help people.
Yeah, for me, it's very rewarding to give someone the ability to boondock and have freedom in their hands. For me, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah, I can attest. Boondocking, yeah, it is very freeing and it's just amazing.
And so after that was done, then I had to take all of my thoughts that were in my head and put them on a website and make them understandable by other people,
Right.
which is harder for me than maybe it should be. I don't know.
Yes, it is hard to put it into layman's terms and simple terms that others can just get what they need from it and move forward. So it is an art. So after all this, you got the website going. And how did you end up acquiring leads? How did you find them?
Well, believe it or not, it just sort of happened. I guess it was meant to be. I was helping people. I was answering question on the Facebook group for my niche trailers,
Okay.
which is the all aluminum ATC trailer. And people would say, that's a great website, but how about if you just install my system?
Yeah.
And I said, well, maybe. And so there was a couple of people that wanted me to do that for them. And then I looked at the insurance side of thing and whatnot. And I said, well, that may work out pretty good. I could sell parts. I could install systems. I could, change the business from a DIY website to, an installer and reseller.
Right.
That worked out really well. People would get a hold of me through Facebook Instant Messenger, or they would send an email to the website, and magically just work happened. I mean, people would be close to me. People would ask me where I was, and when I had a notebook of when I was going to be in, or that Joe wanted me to do an install in California, and Sue wanted me to do an install in North Carolina. And I would keep those on a little thing. And whenever we got close, we would reach out to people and say, are you still interested?
Right. That's good. Keep tracking. And then once you got these leads and these clients, and did you go to them or did they come to you? Had you had your land yet? How did that all work?
In the beginning, I would mostly do work on BLM ground, Bureau of Land Management, and that worked out good. Sometimes I'd go to the customer's home if they had room for both trailers, right?
True. Yeah.
But most of them were probably BLM ground, I imagine, if I had to go back and look, which reduces the insurance stuff quite a bit because, there's no garage keepers, there's no liability because it's not your property.
True. And you being out in the West, gosh, you have all these different areas. I think you would definitely have more clients out there initially anyways, because boondocking, off-grid living is so much more prevalent.
Especially in the winter time. I think, I'm probably 30, 40 minutes from Quartzsite. And back in 17, and I don't know what's current, but in 2017, I read a report that said 2 million people flocked to the desert as snowbirds in Quartzsite area.
I believe it.
And so, I mean, just 1/3% of that population, if you can hit that, tap into that, it's a great place to start any business if it's RV orientated, right?
Correct. And so when you were going to people's homes or on BLM land, how did you carry all the equipment or, solar panels, batteries, those things that you got and you were going to install? Did you carry them in your RV? Did you have something else with you? How did that work?
So we had the 28-foot bumper pull at that time, and we had the back of the truck open. And so that was enough to carry the majority of stuff, panels, odds and ends.
Because they're heavy.
Batteries and inverters they take up a bit of room, and I guess they're heavier. And so this was pre-COVID, so it wasn't as hard to have a shipment. And so you can get really creative the further you go down the rabbit hole. I mean, you can do the Amazon lockers in bigger cities, and that's easy. Everyone does that for little things. So I would use someone's address if I was going to be doing their install, ask ahead of time. And if it was okay, I would use their address. When it came to pallets of batteries, inverters, and whatnot, I would still use somebody's address, and then, you get a hold of the shipping company and you can go right to the shipping warehouse, the hub in that main city area, and just pick it up there.
Okay. Didn't know that.
That's fairly easy to do. I mean, you can get a big skid as long as the individual pieces you can hand lift. They'll bring the skid out to your vehicle. You just unload it, and then, you put the garbage in a dumpster, in their dumpster, which is nice, and then you leave and everyone's happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The problem with that as COVID entered is that skid would be en route at a hub, the wrong hub, for like a week or so and not moving because they didn't have people and no one knew when it was coming, and it just
delayed.
Yeah. Shipping was so problemsome that we had to give up installing on there. And to be honest, there was such a high demand. We were just going from install to install, and we weren't really enjoying the traveling. We were traveling to do the installs and
and not much else.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great way to start the business, don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't sustainable, especially with COVID and shipping.
Right. Well, hopefully that's doing a lot better now.
Can be. I mean, I ordered parts. Gosh, it's a Blue Sea Class T fuse, and I'm a Blue Sea distributor, and I ordered it 2 years ago in November. Well, I guess 3 now. And 2 years later, within a week, it showed up.
Oh, my goodness.
2 years as a distributor to get a fuse that's critical on installs. It's very tough.
That's a bit much. It is tough.
And that was the worst, obviously enough. But I wish there was more that were perfect than there was that could use room for improvement on their ideas of delivering or getting stock or manufacturing.
Right. Yeah, I guess it is still tough. Is it just you and your wife doing everything, or do you have anyone else helping you now?
No, so it's just Gwen and I, and she's a good helper. She mostly does the books and whatnot, but there comes times where the second set of hands is very helpful on the installs. Sometimes the customers want to be involved on the install so that they've got a better understanding.
Understand better.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
So that works. Maybe that's one of the toughest things is being a one or a two-man show. It's, the advertising, the billing, the purchasing of parts, the installs. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I do understand. We owned a business for 20 plus years before we went full time, and it was Glenn and I doing most of the work for a long time. And then we finally had more people underneath us and actually subcontractors. And eventually we sold it, but it is hard to do it all by yourself. And then also it's kind of hard to just give it up and just manage, when you've been doing everything and you want everything to be done, with your systems because they work, that's tough too.
Yeah. I tell people that I've got a lot of letters behind me, whether that be ADD, ADHD, OCD. And, as a business owner that started it from the ground up, it's hard to let other people do things and they may not be as particular.
Right. I understand that.
And if I remember right, I believe your business was a bricks and mortar business. So you had to be there during hours, right?
Yes, we had to be here. We were a semi-private, one-on-one, smaller, but did a lot of work, personal training studio that did pre and post rehab. We had a physical therapist on site working with us, and it was wonderful. We loved working with the clients and helping them reach their goals and just being there for them. A lot of them just love that social interaction and that talking every week. And it was great. So yeah, we did establish that on our own from the ground up, and it was wonderful.
It's very rewarding and fulfilling, at least for me, right? And I would imagine that the majority of my customers are like-minded and they want to be off-grid, semi-off-grid to some level and have that freedom. And so that instantly makes a connection.
Yes. Like you said, we had to be there all the time. And before we went full time, we wanted to be able to travel and be remote and still work. So we may pick that back up in the fitness side and health side and coaching and coach others from the road, or at least a hybrid lifestyle. That would be wonderful. See, still have that fulfilling feeling again.
Right. And, money's always good.
Yeah. We sold the business and we have that money and sold our home, but it won't last forever. So yeah, we need something. We have 2 boys, and what we do through our YouTube channel is very fulfilling as well. We get a lot of wonderful comments, and we loved doing that for 2 years, but we kind of want to create something that's just more than RVing as well.
It's nice for me that the business sort of lends really well to our lifestyle.
Yes.
So, we help people be off grid, and then we make friends and we make long lasting friendships.
That community. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In a few days, we're going to have our 2nd annual roundup on our property.
That is wonderful. Keep it going.
The first time last year, there was like 15 trailers here. So that was exciting to have people come from the East Coast all the way out here for our get together. And I really feel blessed that we can provide a place for like-minded people to hang out and make their own relationships and ties. And community is probably the hardest thing when you leave Sticks and Bricks, and especially with kids. I mean, you've got to really be up on your game to keep the kids with some type of community, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They stay in touch with friends, homeschool friends from the area and non-homeschool friends through online, Messenger, that kind of stuff. And then when we're back at our home base in Delaware, we meet up as much as we can. But yeah, finding another community on the road, we've found many other people that we've enjoyed with kids as well. But it was hard being on the road. Couldn't always meet up with them when you wanted to. Everyone's on a different schedule. So creating that community was definitely harder, and something, I guess with our YouTube channel and stuff, hoping to create more of a community again. That would be great.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the things that I was really surprised about when we left Sticks and Bricks, the house with the driveway and garage.
Right.
When we left that, we were 49, I think, years old.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And, we lived all of our life in the same general area. So we had all the friends that we went to school with, and life was good. But I will say that after we did that and become full-time off-grid, I call it homeless, jobless trailer trash, but lovingly.
Yes.
We found that we made and have stronger ties to people. I don't understand why, but there's so many people that we have a stronger connection with that we met that are after we left Sticks and Bricks than before.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're on the road and you're all RVing, that's that like-minded mindset, why you're out there. When you're in a Sticks and Bricks, you don't know who your neighbor is. I mean, it could be anything, or into anything, but when you're on the road RVing, you at least have that common kind of interest. And usually there's other things that follow. So I see that.
And I've said for many years, I wish we would have left Sticks and Bricks sooner and done this.
Mm-hmm. I'm really glad we did, but now we're just trying to find a good balance. We'll get there. So I just wanted to get back a little bit into our RV power off grid and just talk a little bit about the solar setup, the RV off grid kind of power. It can be a huge investment, right? Like if you really want to be out there for a long time and do it right and just feel like you don't have to worry about anything power wise. Explain kind of the rationale for someone wanting really to do this and spending the money.
So, I can speak very descriptive on my mindset when we left.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when we were in Illinois, we had an acre of property, whatever. And, our property taxes were $6,000 a year. So even after we owned our home outright, we still had to pay, $6,000 every year just to live on the property that we owned. And so my mindset is that $6,000 a year was something I could throw at the trailer every year that we were going to be doing this. And so for me, I looked at, okay, if we stay at an RV park, the average cost of an RV park is $40 a night. You can find them cheaper and you can find them a whole lot more.
Yeah.
But, my wife and I didn't appreciate walking out of our trailer in an RV park to see the neighbor's sewer hose.
Yeah, no.
And pay money for that.
Right. And sometimes it's only for like a night or two and they're like, I'm out of here. But,
Yeah.
It's expensive.
So my mindset of when we first left was if I had some solar, and I didn't know how much I needed, and there wasn't anyone, I couldn't find anyone to help me. There's people, I suppose. I just couldn't find them to help me understand my needs and what the cost would be to do it. So I just covered the roof with solar and moved along. Now, you don't need to do that. I mean, it's a difficult question to ask, but for us, I just put in as much as I could make it fit. Now, for my customers that come to me, we have conversations about where they go, what they do, and then we build a system that's going to work for them.
For them and their RV.
Yeah, if you got some guy that says, well, I live in California and I go on 4 days a week is my excursion time, and I do that 4 times a year, and he travels all the way to, Arizona or Utah, the same solar panels will harvest much more because of the solar irradiance in California being the strongest in the States. And the further away you get and the more clouds and more shade, the less percentage of harvest that you get to yield. And so his solar solution will look much different than somebody in the Midwest or Maine or Delaware, where it's rainy, cloudy, the days are shorter, the angle of the sun is more. So you get less harvest out of that.
A lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's complex, definitely. And people say, oh, I need solar. I'm just going to put solar. I need all this. But explain to us real quick, the whole package that you do. It's not just solar. What else is there?
Well, so solar gets you energy off the sun, and then you have to have the solar charge controller to turn that into juice energy that'll charge your battery. And then the battery will run the inverter, or as if you're in an RV, you already know, 70% of your trailer is 12 volt. Your lights, your water pump, your blower for your furnace needs propane, but it still needs 12 volt for that. Your awning, your outside lights, your water pump. So most of it's DC. The little amounts of AC is just going to be your microwave or TV.
Plugs, right?
Yeah.
Your outlets. Is there a generator in there as well?
I did not have a generator for the first 4 years in the trailer. I started off with a Honda. I didn't use it, so I sold it.
Okay.
But I don't recommend that other people do that. I left with as much solar as I could fit on my roof. And while it worked well, don't get me wrong, if you're not going to be in it full time, I don't recommend anyone else do that. I would say if you're thinking about boondocking, if you want to try that, get a generator, try to get an inverter generator so it's quieter, so it doesn't, disturb you. But get your butt out there and boondock and see if you like it.
Right.
Some people are like, oh my God, it's so dark. There's no one around. I feel scared. I can't do it.
Oh, it's magical. Do it.
And then there's people like us, and we're like, oh my God, I just want to disappear. I don't want to see
Why
people.
Not? Yeah, right there with you.
I really thoroughly enjoy leaving the shades, curtains on the RV up on my property or boondocking, and being able to set the trailer in a position that you can watch the sunset and the sunrise, even if you have to be inside.
Right. Yeah, you can totally position that any way you need to.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What was your most fun install project to work on?
I did a boat.
You did a boat? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
I can't remember how he found me, but it was like a 56-foot long boat that they're going to live on. And he wanted solar battery and lithium inverters to make it more efficient. And they were going to go down to the Caribbean for that.
Okay. Where did you put everything?
Well, so it was a 2-story boat. So there's like a little room that he built for the electrical room, and everything was right there, except the solar panels were up on the back deck, and they actually gave shade to the lower deck. So it worked out well on hot days. They had shade underneath, and then on cold days, they could, go up on the top.
Right. That's cool. Very cool project. Why do you think your business is so successful? I think I know why, but let's hear it in your words.
My opinion is that, I put myself in each one of my customers' shoes and try to do the best by them that I can, that I would like someone to do by me. And I go further than that, and I tell people, come on out to the property. I do your install, stick around for a week,
Mhm.
two, whatever you want to do, a month, and try to break the system, try to find the limits, and
Mhm.
be on site for this, so that if you have any questions, I
Mhm.
can look at whatever you're looking at and understand things, help
Yeah,
you understand things.
that's priceless to be able to have that personal time and take that time and teach them and just be there the whole part of the way and make sure they understand. That's wonderful.
The systems that I create, that I prefer, customer drives the
Mhm.
boat, but I like to have an interactive system.
You mean like on your phone?
So 90% of my customers have a system that all they have to do from wherever they're at is get online,
Mhm.
whether that be from a hotspot or a
Ah.
Wi-Fi. Once they
Mhm.
do that, I can remote into that system and I can see all the electronics that they can see.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I can update firmware remotely. I can change settings in most devices.
Mhm.
And, I've been doing this for years on a commercial side and just a personal side.
Mhm.
I've got a couple of commercial trailers out there that I monitor as well. And this helps me determine that the reason why things aren't working right, and this has happened many times, is that the RV park power wasn't qualified. It was having problems, whether that be a brownout or low voltage because everyone's running their air conditioner in the summertime,
Mm.
or just a reversed wired plug. But I can see most of that and diagnose that remotely. So,
And is that just part of the package and, what people pay? Is that just the value they continue to get from you, or do you charge for this upkeep? How's that work?
well, that's that's an interesting question.
Tricky. Mm.
So far, my customers very seldomly charge unless it's excessive
Mhm.
problems that weren't generated by me.
Right.
And I've tossed the idea around of having like a subscription service that people could pay for on a monthly basis and then use when they needed to, when they have electrical problems or
Right.
other problems.
That's smart too.
I think that's the worst thing about living in an RV is that, most people, when they were in a sticks and bricks, they didn't
Yeah.
maintain their foundation of their house, you know,
True.
driving it around
Mhm.
over an earthquake every time you move,
No. Oh my gosh.
setting it up on blocks, leveling it, and all of that. That can be a
Mhm.
big deal by itself.
Yes.
Then you've
Very
got the
true.
electrical input, whether that be battery, shore power generator. You've got your
Mhm.
water input, your freshwater input. You can hook up to the city water and have that water
Mm.
pressure and hope that's not too much and it doesn't blow a line. Or you can fill up your water tanks and use your water pump. And then you're going to have all your wastewater that you're going to fill up, but you don't know how full because the
Mhm.
tank sensors on the black tank don't work. And
They
then
don't. No. Mhm.
and then you've got to find a place to empty that, and hopefully things don't get crappy on you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's very rewarding, but yeah, it's just a constant work. But that's part of it. You get into it. That's what you need to know.
So I think when people start off and they leave sticks and bricks and go into an
Yeah.
RV park, that's the biggest void, is that there's nobody out
Mhm.
there that teaches you how to RV or how to boondock, or
No.
your
No.
trailer's not plugged
Mhm.
into shore power, but you don't know why the outlets don't work. Well, it's because you
Right.
don't have power, but you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know. We didn't know. We ran our heater one night. The first night we went out full time. We were down in South Carolina at a boondocker's welcome. We were boondocking. It was freezing cold. Had the heater on all night long. And it shut off. And we're like, what happened? Yeah. So yeah, get to know your batteries. We just had a couple solar panels, batteries, and 2 generators. So we didn't know, but that's how we learned, just get out there. But it would be nice if there was some kind of, I don't know what that magic would be, but no, you just got to do it.
I've had people reach out to me that's had other installers install their system, and either they didn't understand it, or they don't think it's right, or they just want someone to go through and look at stuff to be able to
like
say,
a consultation.
Yeah. It's like buying a car, except, it's a house. The RV is, right? And if you buy a used car, it's nice to have a mechanic put it up on the lift and say, oh, you don't have any brakes on the back or the front, or power steering belt's about ready to blow off, or whatever that may be. And, your RV is always moving down the road, so things will go wrong.
They will. It's not if, it's when.
Right.
That's right. So any advice for someone wanting to maybe get into being an RV solar technician, or working from their RV? Any advice?
I guess I would first quote something that I think Elon Musk said once. If you're looking at starting a business and you need encouragement, don't start a business.
That's great.
But yeah, I think, if you want to follow your passion, if you want to do anything into working on an RV or out of an RV, life is short. Get in the RV and go try it.
It is. Right. That's good.
The nice thing about an RV is that if you're living in the RV and you want to, do NASA launches, right? You can move your house to Florida, and that's where they're done. If you want to do RV maintenance and you live in your RV in the wintertime, you could go to Quartzsite, where maybe still 2 million people visit. And so you've got 2 million people, RVs. I don't know what that number's derived from, but you've got that number of people. And, I imagine 20% will need work done at their RV in the desert.
Yeah. And the key is being there in person. It's not just, oh, I'm starting this online business for my RV and I'm just going to put it there online. You have to be out there promoting yourself and mingling and talking with people and, yes, following your passion.
Yeah. And it makes it much easier when it's your passion, because then, I worked a lot last year. I really did. And last winter, more than I would have liked, but the business was there. People wanted the service. And so it wasn't really work, because it was, what I wanted to do. And I've never gotten up and said, oh, crap, I got to go help somebody else out today. I mean, it's not like that at all.
Right? No, you're truly helping people, and they're learning and becoming better educated with all this, because there is so much information out there that's just out there, but no one really teaches you, or the how, the why. So I think what you're doing is wonderful, and lots of good information.
Thank you. If I could go back to my younger self, back in 17, 18, when I was doing all of the research, if I could have found someone that was living off, like myself, I guess, that was like living a mentor, off grid, that knew what worked and what didn't work, and what it took, what it didn't take, I would have paid them any amount of money to make sure that the first install would have worked and would have been the last install. And I wouldn't have had to replace certain things that were big pieces of the puzzle.
Right. That's good. So much good information today. So if someone wants to learn more or is ready to invest in your services, how can they find you? How can they contact you?
The easiest way would be on the website, BoonDoctor.com. And there is a contact form on that.
Okay. And you're on Facebook as well?
I am on Facebook, mostly just the ATC groups.
Okay. Yeah. That's the RV company, ATC. Yes.
Yeah, there's a couple of people that have started groups that are for ATC, that are about the ATC trailer.
Right. I believe Sash and Steve, did they start one?
They did.
Okay, so we can find you there. And I just want to thank you for coming on the podcast today and sharing what you do, this off-grid living, and how RV entrepreneurs can power their RVs better for boondocking. And again, guys, go check out his website at BoonDoctor.com. He's got a lot of good information about boondocking and, of course, the solar, as well as projects he's done. He's a very good teacher. John, thanks for jumping on the call today.
Thanks for having me, Rose. I really appreciate it.
I hope you guys enjoyed that episode with John. He has a lot of experience and knowledge to share, and I love that he takes the time to teach each of his clients about the system that he installs in their RVs. Now, I realize that I didn't get into a lot of detail with John about the cost of his services or the exact solar requirements for extended off-grid living, because we both felt that it can get very technical, and each RVer and their RV have different power needs. Another note is that although John specializes working on ATC Toy Haulers, he has and will work on other brands of RVs. He just prefers ATCs. And I know John would love to dive deeper with you and customize your off-grid power needs for worry-free boondocking. And you can get in touch with him again at BoonDoctor.com. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next month on the podcast.